So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jim Banks, and I am the founder of Elite Media Buyers, which is the group that you're watching this here little kind of session today in. So, Elite Media Buyers. Hang on a minute. Let me just. There we go. Yeah, I probably should have some headphones on. There we go. First mistake of the day, and it's only 4 o'clock. But yeah, so obviously I'm Jim Banks. I'm the founder of the Elite Media Buyers, which is this Facebook forum that you happen to be in. The kind of it's for me, it's a bit of a passion project. I've been involved in media buying for 20 years, and I want to try and help kind of help train the next generation of media buyers, so that we don't have a kind of problem with media buying in terms of the future. And I'm really kind of delighted today to be joined by Oliver Kenyon. And Oliver is the co-founder of Landing Page Guys. And I guess, I don't even know how long we've been friends, but a long time. So I'm going to introduce Oliver now while I sort out my headphones. So just bear with me 1 second. You keep talking, Oliver, and I'll sort out some headphones.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind intro, and yeah, awesome to be a part of your group. Love seeing it grow, and yeah, I'm really honored to be a guest as well. So yeah, I think when you're saying about how long ago we met, I'm guessing it was a kind of drunken night at an affiliate conference, possibly the first time, and yeah, been friends ever since. And yeah, just a few good nights out in London, I think, for sure. Running a company, or knowing the legend that is Jim Banks himself.
So hopefully you can hear me still.
Definitely can hear you. And
there we go.
Now, so
that's good. Yeah. So I think what happened was I actually had the kind of the Facebook Live on Facebook in the background. So it was a little bit like one of those Russian dolls, right? So I think we're good now. I've kind of managed to mute that. So I think we're probably going to be in decent shape kind of moving forward, right? So I kind of missed most of what you said. So I know what you said would have been absolutely awesome and fantastic, because pretty much
you're
every
just
time
talking about you, really, Jim.
Oh, really? What? saying how badass I am, and
pretty much. I just did a little intro to Landing Page Guys and us, and yeah, how me and you kind of met at a drunken night at a London conference many years ago, and had many fun nights ever since.
Yeah, there's definitely been a few of those, and yeah, I mean, for me, it's always one of those things. I mean, I'm heading off to Affiliate Summit. I've just come back from Florida. I'm heading off to Affiliate Summit on tomorrow, actually. So I'm kind of pleased we managed to get this in between, kind of coming back, getting my washing sorted out, and heading out the door again. But like, I understand that kind of Andy and is it Eric from your office?
Greg
yes, are going to be at Affiliate Summit, but you're not. Why are you not going?
Yeah, so quick answer is I hate flying. I'm petrified of flying. So I never go. We try to go to as many conferences as possible. They do kind of end up in good results for us. Normally, we get some good leads and some good business out of them. So I tend to stick to the kind of local to the UK events. So I do all the kind of Barcelonas and your shows in Europe and everything in England. And then Andy and Greg, my head of sales, tend to take the other shows. So yeah, I hate flying, so I don't fly.
So they're getting the short straw then, really, by having to kind of go on a 10-hour flight to Vegas.
Yeah, but they do end up in Vegas or in Bangkok, or, you know, somewhere a little bit more luxury than the XL in London, but it's all good.
Good. So yeah, so obviously you've told us a little bit about Landing Page Guys, right? Tell us a little bit about you, kind of how you got involved in the industry in the first place. I mean, how did you kind of actually decide that this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I don't think anyone, I mean, if anyone's watching and they say they do, I don't believe them, wakes up one day and says that I want to be a co-founder of a landing page company. I don't think I even knew what a landing page was when I was younger, but kind of the kind of very, it's going to be long, but the short version of this story is I discovered the kind of online space when I was a full-time chef. So I used to be a chef. I trained as a chef. I dropped out of school in sixth form and went to culinary arts school and did a chefing course, the same course that Gordon Ramsay did, actually.
Really?
At the same college.
You've got a similar sort of hairstyle to him, though, right?
Yeah, maybe.
He pretty much owns Vegas, though, I've got to say. He's like everywhere.
Yeah, it's mad. So yeah, same college, and then came back and started working in the kitchens again, but kind of stumbled onto the online space ever since I was like 14, 15. Funny enough, in hip hop, so hip hop and rap, like remember the days of like 8 Mile and Eminem and all those kind of things.
I do.
Like rap battling was quite big, and I used to love it. So I used to go onto these rap battle forums and discuss different things about poetry and hip hop and rap. And one day I kind of said to myself, well, I'm going to start my own forum and see how it goes. So I always say this on when I do like podcasts and stuff, but it's quite a funny story. But I actually sat my dad and my grandfather down at the age of like 15 and did like a whole Dragon's Den pitch to them. So I remember saying to them, like, I think I needed 140 quid back then was to get like a domain, hosting for a year, and a vBulletin license for a forum. And yeah, the harsh reality is that my dad still calls me on a weekly basis and asks for his 40% of my current businesses. So I'm 31 now, and that was when I was 15. So I don't think that's quite fair, Dad. But yeah, it's all good. So anyway, started these forums. And then I stumbled across CPA marketing because someone on one of these forums hit me up and was like, I'm doing some marketing. Do you want to, like, I see you know your websites, you know how to create a forum. Let's do some CPA marketing. Now, Jim, I know you are aware, but I'm not sure if some of the viewers are aware of a kind of network back in the day called CPA Lead that used to be huge. And it used to be all about incentivized marketing. So gateways, things where you click through to download an ebook and it comes up with a gateway and says you need to fill in an offer before we do that. So we toyed around with that, made a bit of money, and then I started a forum because I loved forums and communities around affiliate marketing, which was called CPA Fix back in the day.
And I think that's where you and I probably first met because I was not necessarily actively involved in CPA Fix, but I was certainly aware of its existence and read stuff there. But I was more of a kind of like a lurker rather than an active poster. Yes,
definitely. I'm sure that's probably where our paths originally crossed. And yeah, CPA Fix was never meant to be what it turned out to be, but it's now become the largest affiliate community online, over 100,000 members. I actually sold the company a couple of years ago to Neil Patel and his investment firm. But alongside that, I was always very passionate with design and development, and I made sure my forums looked good. And people would contact me and say, "Look, how do we use your designer?" So I kind of basically started off arbitraging my designer. I said, "Look, you can use him through me, but I'm going to take a cut of the money, right?" I met Andy, my now co-founder, who I know, Jim, you know well, through a CPA Fix, which is quite funny. And I employed him for about 2 weeks until we realized, no, we're way better off as partners. So we went in 50-50, started this new company called Landing Page Guys, and kind of 6.5 years. Now we're doing like between 50 and 100 projects per month. So it's been a fun journey, but we're now on a quite fast trajectory, which is good.
Because in some respects, I mean, obviously you actually build the landing pages. A lot of people, again, I always look at it and go, you know, I could go and buy the dental equipment online to kind of like buy the equipment to extract my own teeth, right? But it's kind of like, you know, I keep thinking like people that go out and buy Unbounce and ClickFunnels, as much as they're great tools and everything, right? It's one of those things I always look at it and go, why don't you just pay experts to kind of do the job and do it properly rather than try and fudge your way through it? I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. I've seen it on Facebook tons and tons of times, right? There's Grant Cardone who's sitting on a private jet, right? And I think it's an ad for ClickFunnels, and he's basically creating landing pages, right? And Russell Brunson's sitting on the arm of a chair. I'm thinking, wow, Russell can't even afford to be sitting in a seat. He's having to sit on the arm of somebody's chair. And Grant Cardone must be making so little money that he has to actually create his own landing pages rather than paying somebody to get it done for him, right?
I need to employ you. Need to become my sales guy.
But
very true.
But I found it really funny that, you know, that there are so many people that feel they need to go through that pain. And sometimes I think it's right. I think you need to go through that pain before you can kind of come out the other end and go, you know what, now I really do truly appreciate what a good landing page builder person, not, you know, landing page tool can actually do for me, right? Because when all's said and done, a tool is just a tool, right? It's still only as good as the person that's actually at the end of the keyboard pressing the buttons. Right. Absolutely. And I think for me, again, there's so much. I mean, I think on your, I don't think it's on your screen behind you, but certainly on your website, you talk about it like landing page, like it being a science rather than than
100%.
just
yeah,
design,
that's our
right?
kind of strapline that web design is an art form, whereas landing page design is a science, because there is a Scientology behind it. There's principles, there's do's and don'ts, and you're absolutely right in saying, like, that's my job as a kind of forward-facing person of the company, is to educate people on why they should be not necessarily using us to build landing pages, but why they should be thinking more in depth about their landing pages and putting a lot more focus into them. Everyone always talks about scaling traffic and traffic, but they tend to forget about the last piece of the puzzle, which is the landing page or the funnel. And often you can get far quicker, more affordable and easier wins by optimizing your funnels and landing pages than you can from scaling and scaling and scaling.
Because whenever I go out and talk to people, like prospective new clients and stuff, I mean, one of the first things I always say is, like, paid media, which is obviously what I do. I said, paid media is not a magic wand, right? If you have horrible products, poor pricing strategy, poor customer service, and a poor landing page, you're going to get poor results. We just might get more of them, but they'll still be poor, right? So for me, it's one of those things. All of those pieces of the puzzle need to kind of come together, right? So I think in some respects, it's almost like when people say, "Oh, I can help you," it's like, I'm always kind of wary, because I think there are so many things that people need to do before you get to that point. I mean, I'm working with some companies now where, they hired me maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and we're still working on, like personas, like, because again, it's like there's all well and good saying, well, let's build like landing pages. But again, you need to kind of understand who that landing page is talking to, right? Because the design of it might be different. If it's geared more towards, females, it'll have a different look and feel than if it's geared to men, older, younger, mobile, desktop. There's so many components that can kind of make up
it's a
what
science,
the actual what the landing page needs to look like before you actually start going, what color does the font need to be, and
exactly.
what size and everything else, right? So
100%, and you hit the nail on the head. But luckily, there is we call them kind of principles, but there is principles that do go across any landing page or funnel, and that's something that anyone can kind of implement. And hopefully we'll go into a few in detail, but that is something that anyone can implement.
We absolutely will
on any given kind of landing page, irrespective of the demographic. But yeah, you're 100% right. If you're targeting older people, you need bigger fonts. If you're targeting younger people, you need to make sure that the mobile is, the mobile version is kind of way up to the latest kind of trends and stuff like that. So yeah, you'd be amazed at how kind of detailed you can go with a landing page. But luckily we have these principles.
And the thing that I always amazes me, Oliver, whenever I talk to people, is like, it doesn't matter how big the company is. I mean, I worked in-house for a fairly large travel company, right? And when I first got there, I'm like, okay, so I'm responsible for running all of their paid media, and they spent a ton of money on paid media. And I said to them, okay, well, show me the dedicated landing pages you're using for paid search. And they went, well, we'd not, right? And I'm like, so basically whatever the SEO guys say we want to add to the page to make it work well for organic search, we just have to kind of like suck that up and run with those, right? And I went, that's never going to work for us, because, the whole idea behind it is, you want to try and eliminate all the kind of noise that prevents people from doing what you want them to do on that page, right?
Absolutely.
But again, the challenge is always, even in the biggest companies, right? So if you kind of went to the States and said, okay, these are the Fortune 500 companies, the FTSE 250 companies, they're only as good as the people who are responsible for the department that is actually there pressing the buttons and typing stuff in, right? So if they if they are clueless, then that company is going to get completely
exactly,
slaughtered.
And that's where most people fail, because they'll hire a very well qualified designer, but anyone can make a website look pretty. Try and make it convert. That's the hard part.
Yeah. So on that basis, I mean, can you give us kind of like maybe the sort of the process that you might kind of go through? So somebody goes, hey, Oliver, I need some help. What can you guys do for us? I mean, talk us through kind of what you would kind of do in terms of, trying to understand whether, one, we're a good fit for you, and what would happen next.
Yeah, absolutely. So you get to know very quickly if someone's a good fit for you. Normally, if we talk about kind of levels, it's the same in any life. Like, someone talks to you and they have to be on a certain level to allow you to come on and consult for them or media buy for them, because they have to have a basic understanding that, almost like I went back to that kind of education side thing, they have to know that they need this. If we have to convince someone to use our service, it tends to not work. So they have to kind of have an understanding that they know they need a high converting landing page. They know why. because it's going to generate more business for them. But typically speaking, what we'll do is we'll first and foremost get them on a kind of sales call or an introductory call where we just sort of discover exactly what they're trying to do. Now, again, like we work within so many different types of niches, so many types of traffic sources, whether it's lead gen or e-com, it doesn't really matter because the principles are kind of very similar on both. But we'll kind of discover their business, what their goals are, whether that's a sale, whether that's an opt-in, whether that's a webinar replay, whether that's a phone call. It doesn't matter. We'll work out that kind of main key call to action and whatever they're trying to achieve. And then we'll kind of openly and honestly see if we think we can help them achieve that. That then normally goes to kind of proposal. And once they agree that they want to work with us, we get them on a discovery call with the project management team. That normally lasts about half an hour to an hour where we kind of just further discover exactly what they're doing. Do they have any brand style guides? Is there anything that they want on there? We normally will kind of ask for key things from them. Do they have testimonials? Do they have case studies? Do they have videos? Do they have guides? Do they have any lead magnets? Anything that supports their kind of offering? Sometimes they don't, and that's fine because we can instruct them on what they need to get. Because there's a few key things that landing pages do need, irrespective of what they have. And then we move it into design. So it goes straight into design. We have a great team of designers. We currently kind of employ 40 plus staff on our staff, whether it's design and development, but it'll go to our designer. We'll come up with the concept and then it kind of goes back and forth until the client is very happy and we're very happy. Often we have to put our foot down because people, especially when it comes to design, like people are very opinionated. But let's not forget that we're the experts. So sometimes
it's always a challenge because again, I've had it happen where you kind of you get stuff done, and then somebody who's like thinks they're an expert will sort of go, oh well, I think it should be blue, or I think it should be green, or I think it should be this, or I think it should be that, and it's always like again, you want to just sort of slap them around and say, don't interrupt me because
exactly we tend to do that, and we tend to say, hang on a sec, like we appreciate your opinion, but we've done 10 of these in the last 6 months and they're converting like mad that way, so we have a lot of experience and we tend to say that, but most people kind of take our kind of advice on stuff. So
but obviously like so I mean, again, like a good landing page will have certain components. We'll talk about those hopefully in a second, but obviously, like again, for me, I always look at it and go, I was like big fan of Stephen Covey, who kind of wrote that 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of his habits was begin with the end in mind, right? In other words, kind of like, what's the end result that you kind of aiming to get? You kind of work back from there to where you start, right? And that that obviously will influence like your kind of creative when you're actually buying ads and stuff like that. Or if you're doing organic, what the kind of, again, titles, description, stuff like that. That's what will get people to kind of click through in the first place. But if we look at, say, specifically for ads, I mean, the thing that that kind of I always kind of struggle with is, sometimes people will use like a ClickFunnels or an Unbounce, and they're great tools, right? I mean, they are really, really good tools. I'm not denying that at all. The challenge I have is, normally I sort of get involved in helping get the tracking and tagging implemented on the back end. And sometimes it's really, really difficult to kind of get that right. And we spend an inordinate amount of time sometimes fixing that up. Whereas if it's a fairly straightforward Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, it's really, really easy. We've done lots of them like yourselves. We know kind of what to do. And it's much, much easier to kind of get them on board, right? Whereas I think sometimes these additional tools, they add an element of complexity to it because all of a sudden, it's on a different domain. You've got all sorts of things that kind of can go wrong, right? The integrations with CRMs to get the leads through to the right salespeople in the right places and, close that feedback loop if deals get done, uploading the kind of the conversions to say, yeah, that conversion took place. Because obviously what we want to try and do is feed information of success and not success, right? I don't like calling it failure, but not success back into Facebook or back into Google. So we can say, basically find me more people like that and less people like that.
Yeah.
And again, like for me, it's one of those, everything kind of needs to come together. And I always kind of look at it as a little bit like you have to have somebody that's conducting the orchestra, right? Because again, a great landing page on its own will not work. Great ad campaigns will not work, right? Great CRMs won't work. You need to have everything kind of talking to each other. right? And again, I think for me that's obviously where a good landing page can really sort of make a difference. So what would you kind of say the sort of top things that your landing page need to have on it, like the mandatory things that kind of every landing page
if I go generic, because then everyone who's watching, or watching a replay of this can kind of attain that to any landing page. So I mentioned these principles, and we have a list of principles internally that we kind of have to tick off before our pages get delivered to our clients. But I can give you kind of, say the 5 most important that I feel that anyone can do on their landing pages to improve conversions, or before they've even started, to give them the best possible start for conversion rates. Number one, this is mainly for paid media, by the way, so mainly for anyone who's doing paid. Page speed is crucial. So speed optimization is crucial. For every 1 second decrease in load time, you're going to see between like a 3 and 10% increase in conversion rate. So basically, putting it simply, get your pages loading quickly. Now, how do you do that? There's various tools out there, gtmetrics.com. If you go to tools.pingdom.com, that's probably the best one. It's free. You get your landing page, put the URL in, and it'll spit out how fast your landing page is loading. And it will also give you a report on how you can improve that. One very, very easy way to improve it is just to compress your images. There's free image compressors. All you have to do, even if you're not technical, is download all the images on your landing page, put them through a free compressor, re-upload them, and your page will load quicker.
I remember somebody kind of like, I was working with a company that was running an event, and somebody had sent through a picture for a speaker. And this picture was something like 10,000 pixels by 10,000. I mean, literally, you could have put this on the billboard on Times Square, and it would have been like real size, right? And that was the picture that you used. I think it was like 25 megabytes, right? Which
that loaded again, in about 30 seconds.
And they just uploaded it and said, okay, there's the picture, right? And I'm thinking, well, again, to me, it's simple things like that can make a huge difference to, as you say, speed is like of the essence, right? It affects things like quality score on, if you buy traffic on Facebook or Google, the speed at which the page loads, one will obviously dictate whether people stick around or not, right? But even if people do stick around because they're a little bit more patient, right? Google won't like it because they'll basically say that's a bad user experience, and bad user experience usually translates into a low quality score, and low quality score usually means higher cost, right? So obviously having a fast loading page helps to reduce your your cost because your quality score will be higher.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so many caveats to load speed, but it's the single most important thing, we think, anyway. So yeah, use those tools, send it to your developer and get them to speed it up. Or, a quick, simple tip is just compress your images. Number 2, which we follow religiously here at landing page guys.
By the way, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just looking at my mobile to see.
No, that's fine. Is the AIDA principle. So if no one's familiar with the AIDA principle, just go to Google and Google AIDA. It stands for attention, interest, desire, action. And basically it's almost taking the landing page user through that journey. So when you think of a landing page, and I know I'm not physically showing you a landing page, but let's think of it as a landing page here. Let's think of it as a flat design landing page. We want to take that user through attention, interest, desire, action, down the landing page. And I'm not going to do any justice on this, but I'll give you a quick brief outline of how you do it. So attention, basically we need to, as soon as the landing page loads, we need to get the user's attention. How do we do that? Normally that's done with like a headline, a supporting headline, odd amount of bullet points. For some reason, odd converts better than even. So 3 or 5, a strong call to action and some social proof. And we'll kind of touch on that in a little bit more in the third principle. Then it's interest. So you need to pique my interest. So you need to basically get me interested in the product, whether it's a service, a software, a physical product. It doesn't matter. You need to get me interested. So show me more about that product. Normally that we do that with like a 1, 2, 3 step thing. It's like, how easy is it for me to, as a consumer, to buy this product or use this product, and how is it going to benefit me? So it's like 1, easily sign up. 2, our experts will be in touch. 3, you see the benefit, whatever that benefit is. So you need to pique my interest. Number 3 section. So we've got attention, interest, desire is called desire. And that's all to do with social proof. So case studies, testimonials, videos, pictures of people using your product. That's crucial. So we live in a kind of, and we'll kind of actually, I'll touch on this on point 3, but desires is a very crucial point. And then at the bottom, it's action. So what is that one clearest go-to call to action for me to take action, whether it's fill out in a form, whether it's clicking add to cart or buy now, whether it's clicking click to call. Just keep it simple, stupid. One very clear call to action. How do I action this page?
And that's a really interesting point, because I see so many sites where, you know, they've done a really good job. They've got the attention, interest. They've got them right the way through to the end, right? And one, they're not asking them to do anything, or they're asking them to do 10 things, right?
Yes.
It'll be
that's one mistake everyone makes.
Like us on Twitter, you know, do this, do that.
I was about to say, you've got your Facebook widget, and someone clicks through, and half an hour later they're looking at pictures of the neighbor, and they don't understand how they got there. But that's cost you for them to click on your page.
And one of the other challenges is that, you know, again things like you know, if people are sort of getting to the checkout, let's say they go, right, I'm going to put the product in the cart, and they go to checkout, and then it's like promo code, right? And you think, whoa, hang on a minute, right? They kind of leave your site. They go back to Google, right? They type in the name of your product with promo code, and then you're basically giving other competitors the opportunity to kind of dive in and have a go at trying to steal your way, right? And so for me, it's like, I don't know what your thoughts are on promo codes. Personally, I know that in some cases, the product, that's what you need to get the sale over the line, right? But I think that the reality of it is that, you know, sometimes a promo code can kill sales because, like I said, it sends people off looking for something that, you know, they wouldn't ordinarily be necessarily looking for.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Quite an interesting point. Something that I've not really thought about. But what we do sometimes is, obviously you can have the kind of promo as an offer on the page. Maybe it's a sticky header or something, so people already feel like they're getting the value. Another thing that we do is, let's say, for example, you as a fulfillment center or you as a product owner have to pay for shipping. Well, just factor it into the cost and offer free shipping on the landing page. You'd be amazed at like how many people don't buy your product because of the shipping cost. But whereas if you just up your product,
it's a perceived disadvantage, isn't it?
Exactly. You think, oh no, now I'm being charged on the checkout for, you know, $10 shipping. Well, I wouldn't care if I was paying $10 extra for the product and free shipping. I think I'm actually getting a solid over on you.
So at least Oliver, just to interrupt, we've got Aaron on the call, and I've just put good point, Jim. So thank you so much, Aaron, for being here. We love you. We both love you. We obviously spent some time with you. We were out for some kebabs, I think, in London. So it's good to see you here.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, again, really, really good point in terms of, you know, shipping, promo codes. Yes. Again, I don't know what your views are on kind of like scarcity, right? Again, I always kind of look at this, you know, you got 10 minutes to complete the checkout, you know, stuff like that. Again, sometimes it's kind of like people are wise to it. Yeah, it's a little bit kind of like, sometimes it can be disingenuous. And
I mean, in the days of like your Garcinia or your like your kind of straight trial kind of funnels and rebuilds, like everyone was doing it. I think there's definitely like,
because some people are used to the kind of the upsell and the downsell, right? So they kind of automatically go to do the exit because they know they're going to get a 10% discount. I always say to people, you know, because quite often you land on a page and before you've had a chance to do anything, there's a big kind of light box that says, do you want 10% off? It's like, I don't know. I've only just got here, right?
I don't even know if I want to buy it.
I don't even know if I'm kind of interested remotely in what you're selling, but you're offering me a discount. So absolutely, I'll take one if I can. But the problem is you get rid of the light box, right? You might go through, you might say, yeah, I'm interested. And then you're like, well, how do I get my discount? Because it's gone.
Right? So I'm not going to purchase it. I'll come back. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that makes sense. So
and also the other thing I see sometimes is, you know, people treat sort of like new customers as like royalty and completely stiff their existing customers, right?
It's the classic case of the phone contracts, isn't it?
So people come back looking for, you know, like a login to kind of pay their bill or to kind of do something. And they see this, hey, if you buy this product now, you'll get 30 pounds off. And you're like, hang on a minute, I'm paying full price. I want 30 pounds off, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So yes, it's kind of like a tough challenge.
Definitely. Yeah. Some really great points there. Yeah. So yeah, moving on to point 3, we kind of touched on in the ADA principle, the desire section, social proof. So as you said, not only does everyone kind of go to your checkout and see the promo code and then Google brand name promo code, People do exactly the same with reviews. So, we wouldn't have eaten in that kebab shop. We probably would, because we were pretty pissed, but we wouldn't have eaten in that kebab shop normally if we hadn't have Googled it and read about, on TripAdvisor, how good it was, what the food was like, what the ambience was like, what the waitress, staff, whatever was like. So it's the same with your products. It's the same with your lead gen offer. It's the same with anything you promote. People are looking for reviews. They're looking for social proof. So we need to give them no excuse to leave the landing page for that.
The thing I struggle with sometimes with reviews, because I know when reviews first became a really big thing, right? It was always like they had to be reviews from people that you knew, right? Whereas now I've got so many friends that kind of like absolutely will go, oh, we're not going to go in there. It's got a bad rating, overall rating. And I'm like, but it looks all right. I mean, people seem to be in there and enjoying themselves. I mean, why can't we just go in and check it out? Because that was just that one person's bad experience at that one particular point in time, right? I mean, it could be the normal chef was off, right? He was like, what, Gordon Ramsay wasn't there. It was somebody else that was making the burgers, right? So for me, it was you. You've done the course, you know the drill, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
but so for me, but I think now, if you look at now, it's kind of more, people will blindly accept the opinions of strangers, right, as being gospel, right? And again, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but 100% agree that social proof is something that absolutely has to be in there, right? And again, I'm always amazed how many businesses. I mean, my agency is a HubSpot partner, right? And they have like a sort of tiering system, and they go sort of like platinum. I think it's diamond, platinum, gold, and then you go down, and then like the ratings in terms of the directory is all the number of reviews that you've got, right? And I'm thinking to myself, well, the easiest thing is to just ask for them, right? I mean, if you've done good work, there's no reason at all why asking for a review wouldn't command somebody to actually go, you know what? Yeah, you've done really good work for us, and put it in. But there are partners that are really, really high level with no reviews at all. I'm thinking they must work with 50 to 100 companies, and not one of them has taken the trouble to actually do it. Them. And the reason that they haven't done it is because nobody's asked them to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think there's obviously other things. We have clients who, like you say, have sold thousands of product, but they don't have reviews. And they say, well, how do we get those reviews? And we have like some clever kind of ways. Normally what we would do as a company, landing page guys, is when we finished working with the client, we deliver a project. We will send them a thank you email saying, thank you so much. We love working with you. We want to give you a gift. And we send them a little link that says we want to give you a gift. We send them to a landing page, of course, that has a video of me at the top. And it just goes, thank you so much. We really appreciate your business. If you look below, there's some links to our Google, Trustpilot, and Facebook. If you leave a review, there's some instructions for what you can get. So we say, step 1, if you leave 1 review, we really like you. Step 2, if you leave 2 reviews, we love you. Step 3, if you leave a video review, we will send you a hamper.
We're having children together.
My wife, who's expecting in May, wouldn't be happy with that. But we were talking before we got on the live, and we said about this British hamper company. So what we do as a company, if people give us a video review or a couple of reviews, it costs us like 50 quid, but I would very happily pay for a legitimate good review. That's worth its weight in gold.
Because the ROI of that, I mean, it's not tangible, but it is like so valuable.
You can leverage it as well. So you can leverage it on your landing page, for example. We've got 5 stars here because we have over 150 5-star reviews about landing page conversion.
Because the printer said it's the same price for 4, 3 or 2.
I was going to get 2, but I went with the 5.
Sorry about that. I couldn't help myself.
We leverage it all the time, and we encourage people to leverage it on their landing pages. So one quick win for anyone who's listening or watching the replay. If you haven't got a testimonial above the fold on any landing page, then you're losing money. So you need buy those buy buttons or those call buttons or the form. You need a genuine testimonial. None of this stock bullshit. You need a real picture of a real person. And if you say you can't get it, then I don't believe you. You're just
I used to sell insurance for a living, right? I did it for quite a few years. And I always used to say there are 3, I'll put it here, 3 golden rules for like getting referrals or recommendations, right? The first one is to ask for them. The second one is to ask for them. And the third one is to ask for them. Like, honestly, that's as complicated as it gets, right? You just need to ask people. And the worst that can happen is they'll say no.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving you a
totally
review,
agree.
right? I always kind of, to me, again, it's so simple. Like you just literally ask people to leave a review for you, right?
Yep.
And again, you'll be amazed at sort of what some people will write.
There's so many ways you can do it. You can even incentivize it, like we said, or give them 10% off the next purchase or something. But
yeah, I mean, again, I'm not a fan of like offering the incentive before kind of like something's come in. But but for me, it's sort of like yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely worthwhile to kind of do something good for people, which again just kind of confirms the reason why they gave you a decent review to begin with, right?
Right.
Because obviously, good people and good people kind of deserve to get good business, right? So
yes, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Cool. So what else? So, yeah, number 4.
Point number 4. So point number 4 is to do with content and copy. Now we are no ways. We don't pretend to be a content or copywriting service.
I've seen some of your landing pages. There's an awful lot of lorem ipsum on them.
Are these templates?
Yeah. They are.
Yeah, templates. So we don't do copywriting. There you go. So we don't pretend to do copywriting, but however, we do. Obviously, we have a copywriting partner, but when clients approach us about copy, we tend to write their headlines and subheadlines, but we tend to set the landing pages up for the correct copy. Now, when it comes to content, everything is should be about benefits. A lot of people heard this saying, but it's about benefits before features. As a user, as an owner of a service, of a product, of a Facebook group, of anything, we automatically think of features. We automatically go to those kind of shiny things that make us different to everyone else. For example, I'll give you an example. You've probably seen it, Jim, but there's an amazing advert picture, and it's advertising to iPhones. Exactly the same iPhone, A and B, and one of the ads above the iPhone has the content that says the brand new 12 megapixel all super zoom camera. Okay. And then this ad has exactly the same picture.
Which is a feature, right? That's a feature.
There you go. And this one, you never guess what this one is, a benefit. This one on the same exact iPhone says, take long lasting pictures of your family that will last forever. And that's the benefit. Like automatically, you're getting into the head of your consumer. You're thinking, yeah, this is going to benefit me. I'm going to take long lasting pictures of my family. Like, how valuable is that to me? Yeah. And that ad converts 3 to 4 times better than that ad. And it's the same on your landing page. Yes, you should be talking about features, but you should lead with the benefit. How is this product, offer, service, whatever it may be, going to benefit my user? So, you might even want to do like a test where you bring someone in, like one of your friends who has nothing to do with the product, and say, how would this benefit you as a user? Write down those things and get that into your content. But I couldn't kind of preach that more. And I'm guessing that it's kind of the same on the ad copy. Am I right in saying that? Yeah.
I mean, I think, the ad copy has definitely got to be kind of benefit driven, right? I think sometimes the challenge is, like some of it will be situational, right? So again, let's say we're in London, we've had a few drinks, we're really hungry, we want something to eat, right? I mean, ultimately, that's just something that we kind of need fixing, and we need it fixing quick, right? So we're not going to go, here's a really long sales page with all this kind of stuff on there, 500 reviews. It's just like, literally like, how long are you open for? What beer do you serve? And, can we get some food quickly, right? Type of thing, right? So I think sometimes that kind of context of where people are and what they're doing, right, can sometimes kind of like mitigate some of the kind of the more reasons why you could kind of do that whole, the feature and benefit thing.
No, I totally understand situations like that. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, I think depending on what type of product you're selling and what price point, right? Again, I mean, I think sometimes the price point is quite important, right? And sometimes things like, money back guarantees and stuff like that can really make a big difference as to whether people will commit. They kind of don't want to make a foolish mistake by buying something that they'll regret later on. Yeah. So if you can kind of take some of that sting out of the tail by kind of going, you know what, kind of like that's on us. If you don't like it, kind of send it back, and it's on us, right? We're very confident that you'll get kind of what you expect. But if you don't, then, don't worry about it.
Totally agree. And moving on to number 5, this one's a bit of a strange one. And whoever's watching this may or may not believe this. It's something that's come about in the last kind of 6 to 8 months. But if you're not trying this, 100% try this. But it's put emojis on your call to action buttons. It's the way of the world. It's what we live in now. Everyone's on WhatsApp or Facebook using emojis. Using emojis on your buttons really do increase your call to actions. We've got live data that's kind of proven this time and time again. And I'll give you some examples.
Poop emojis or?
Depends what you're selling, mate. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're promoting on your side, Jim, but I'll give you some examples, like things like rush my order with a clock, add to cart with a shopping basket. The pointing emoji does very, very well.
I mean, it's funny, like you're talking about, obviously on landing pages. I mean, yes. We find sometimes that really helps. I mean, you've got to be careful in the way you do it in the ads, like certainly with Facebook, right? But we quite, again, it sounds really dumb, right? Yes. But it would be literally you've got the URL. You have the URL of where you want to take people in the description, and you have a finger pointing at the URL. It's kind of like, but not have like three fingers pointing at it and 3 exclamation marks, right? I think Facebook are trying to kind of keep things kind of sensible, right? Yes. And again, you wouldn't put 3 and you wouldn't put 3 exclamation. I always kind of say anyone that puts an exclamation mark in any copy, stop shouting at me. I hear you. Stop shouting at me, right? Yeah. So I hate exclamation marks, but sometimes they can make a point. Certainly question marks.
And I think that point, even on the link, is that directional cue. It's someone pointing to a button on a landing page. It's an arrow that accentuates the form.
But I'm sure landing pages is no different. You know, the kind of the proof in the pudding is really to test things, right? So we've tested it with the finger, without the finger, with the URL, without the URL, right? And again, you're absolutely right. I mean, sometimes the performance will be much, much better.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So yeah, it's a silly one, but I would definitely encourage anyone to give it a go. Put some emojis on your buttons, and your click-through rates, I can all but guarantee, will be better.
Here we go. So Aaron has just put emojis on CTAs. Nice point. This pointing emoji. No, not that one. Not that one. That's not a good one. He's put like the middle finger, a question mark, and then he's crying. Thank you for that.
I don't think that one would work so well. But,
actually,
try this one.
So he does actually have another question, which I thought I would kind of bring into the conversation. So he's saying, thinking of my upcoming book launch, he's stuck right now between free plus shipping funnel or paid plus free shipping, and he's asking for our thoughts.
You'll never get a right answer. You have to test them both. But I would hesitate a guess that the free shipping would work. So paid plus free shipping. Like I kind of mentioned, we have a lot of e-com clients come on board with us, and they say they lose so many customers at the checkout, and they don't know why. So they say, we get good click-throughs to the checkout. We're using Shopify. Is it because we're using Shopify and you can't customize the checkout? Should we be switching to Limelight, Connective, or WooCom or something like this? And the first thing we look at is the shipping costs, because effectively, especially if you have the price on the first page, and let's say I'm just going to pluck figures, but let's say it's $10, and someone's committed on that first page to buying that product for $10. They click through, and then all of a sudden their total's $15. It makes you rethink things. It's like, well, why am I being charged now $15? And obviously there's a line on the checkout that says shipping is $5. Now, we find 9 times out of 10, if we make that front end product $15, so you're not losing out on money, but on the checkout, the $15 stays, and then it comes up and even accentuates it. You've qualified for free shipping. People don't even question it. They're like, oh shit, I'm getting something for free here.
And I think certainly when it comes to things like books, right? I mean, I think books is probably one of those things they've been sold forever. I mean, that's obviously the origins of Amazon and everything. But it's kind of like I look at it and go, if it's a free book and you only pay for the shipping, what that tells me is like the book's not very good.
Yeah,
right? Shipping's great, book not so good, right?
And normal like, I'm not trying to say people are dumb, but normal consumers will think, well, why are they selling this book for free?
Yeah,
like you're almost kind of underselling your service as well. You're almost saying like it's not very good, like you said, like it's not very good. Just pay for the shipping. We're not going to make any money on it.
Yeah,
and people kind of start to question that. So
but again, I think like if your overall pot is $15. Right, or £15, I would kind of go, it's £15 and it includes free shipping, rather than it's £10 and the shipping's $5, because then that way they'll see the shipping as a percentage of the cost of the product being expensive, right? Whereas it's all baked in, I think people will be like, okay, that's fine. And I always kind of say, if people say it's expensive, I always go, compared to what, right? What's the comparison to actually say that's expensive?
Right.
Yeah. You know, and certainly, I mean, I've got friends that have written books and they want to become Amazon bestsellers. And yeah, fine. If that's the case, then absolutely give the book away for free, because the more books you can sell, the more likely it is you'll be kind of a bestseller on Amazon. Right?
I have an amazing story about that. You might even be aware of it, or some people, you know, whoever's watching. But someone who I know locally did an event a couple of years ago with Gary Vee, and Gary Vee had a new book out. And I think I want to say something like his charge back then to be a speaker at an event was, I want to say something like 50 grand. I don't know, for an hour or 2 hours.
I think it's about
grand.
150 now, but
it's probably a lot more now. Yeah, absolutely. But what he did in a kind of clever way is he said, you have to buy 50 grand's worth of my book.
Every single person that is a keynote speaker. I mean, usually if you've written a book,
yes,
the kind of way you get keynotes is to have written a book, right? So sometimes the way you kind of, again, it's almost like you buy a book, right? Yeah. And then when you kind of do a deal with the person that's putting on the event, they say, I commit to being, you know, so if there's 1,000 people at the event, you go, right, I'll give you a book for each person that's there. You got to buy the books,
also
right?
Good for it's good for the users, because they're thinking we're getting a free Gary Vee book signed as well, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was fascinated a couple of years ago when I heard that story, but it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting. Again, that whole sort of self-publishing. I mean, Guy Kawasaki wrote a really good book called Ape, author, publisher, entrepreneur, right? And it's all about, you know, it used to be you have to have a really big, book deal with one of the big publishers. And now you can pretty much do your own thing, right? You can do self-publishing. So you don't need to kind of like commit to print a certain number of books. You can just literally have a book. And again, it's funny. I had a friend who, he wanted to kind of become a keynote speaker, right? And he came up with a title for the book. He came up with a cover that he got, I think, done on Fiverr, right, for what the book was going to be called, right? And then when people clicked through to the page, it said coming soon, right? And he got 2 keynote gigs on the back of a book that didn't even exist, right?
Mad.
He just had the idea in his head as to kind of what he wanted to kind of write.
Keynote speaker, right? I liked it.
Which again, I think is quite clever. But sorry, we digress. For anyone watching, sorry, we digress there a little bit. Okay, so in terms of like landing pages, is there anything else that kind of like they absolutely must have?
I think those are the 5 very key kind of things that we see affect. You know, I always, when we do these kind of talks and you know, whether we're on stage or podcast or whatever, we try and give a bit of value. So something that someone can actually just implement. So anyone watching this can compress an image, re-upload it. I'm sorry if you can't, then, you know, you need to go back to school, find someone at work who will do it for $10. Anyone can add an emoji to a button. Anyone can simply page speed optimize or add a testimonial above the fold or get some testimonials. So these things, especially when you're doing paid media, I mean, Jim, you know better than most people, like even just a 1% increase is massive when you're spending 20K a day. So like any of these things can add like 1, 2, 3, and it starts adding up. I think these 5 things are personally, before you go into the kind of technicals and the validation side of things, form validation, all those kind of principles, I think these are just the key things that anyone can implement on their landing page to see some uplift.
Yeah, because I think the most important thing is like every sort of journey starts with kind of one step, right? And I think the most important thing is, you know, again, not try to be the Harmon Brothers or anything. You know, just try and kind of do something that is, you know, sensible for kind of what you're trying to do, your budget, right? And and again, I mean, I'm pretty sure, you know, I'm kind of speaking probably on your behalf here, but it's like, you know, for me, the whole thing with a landing page is it's an iterative process. It's not you do it and then that's it, finished, and you never touch it, right? You kind of like that becomes your MVP, and then you have something that you can kind of go up against it to basically try and beat it. And if you beat it, then that becomes the MVP, and then you have something else that goes up against it, right?
Yeah, we always recommend people constantly test.
And again, I think to kind of on that testing side of things, I mean, I see so many people, they kind of have so many hypotheses that they're trying to test in one sort of go, right? And I'm like, you need to, if you're going to test something, just test one thing,
something,
right?
Yeah,
if it's colors, words, emoji, stuff like that, just test that one thing, right? Get some statistical significant data, and then from there you can then go, right, okay, well the next step is test something else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%
you know, but again, the number of times I see people, they just go, I'm going to have green buttons, this color, that, you know, these emojis, this, that, and the other. It's just like, whoa, far too much, right? Because, you know, you'll never really know which was the thing that moved the needle up or down, right? I mean, if it goes down, right, you know, that's not a thing to kind of do again. If it goes up, then you go, right, that's something that we should incorporate into our MVP moving forward, right?
100%.
I mean, just a couple of things. Like I always kind of say, quite often when I see landing pages, they have things like they don't have terms and conditions, contact us, privacy policy. For me, as much as yes, those are like things that detract from what you're trying to do, right? In terms of you want people to kind of click your call to action button and buy your stuff, or download your whatever it is you're selling, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to have those on there to comply with Facebook and Google, because they want to know that you're a legitimate business, right? That people can get in touch with you if there's problems, right? And obviously things like privacy policy. What are you going to do with my data? Are you going to sell it? Are you going to remarket to me? That sort of thing. So again, it's amazing how many people we see with really good landing pages, look fantastic, that don't have like at the bottom in the footer, like a contact us, privacy policy, terms and conditions. Put those on, and the quality score goes from sort of 3 to 8, 3 to 9,
100%.
3 to 10.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Really simple things.
Very, very important. And when the margins are so fine, what we do now is we put all of that stuff in modals. So people aren't physically clicking away from your page. It sounds silly, but when people have the kind of psychology of clicking away from your page, they then click further and further. So just chuck them in a modal as well, which is useful.
Cool. So we're kind of coming up on about 55 minutes. So if people wanted to kind of get hold of you, Oliver, how could they do that?
Yeah, no, really appreciate being on this. So we kind of have our own group. I know we're in Elite Media Buyers, which is an awesome group. So anyone who's not in that yet, go and join Jim's group. It's really good. We have our own kind of community that we're working on called the Landing Page Lab. So if you just go to landingpagelab.com, you'll be redirected to the Facebook group. It's a free community. We're just sharing more and more tips like this on a kind of daily occurrence. We're discussing how to optimize landing pages, how to squeeze the most out of your conversion rates and your traffic. And also, zero pressure. But if you'd like to learn a little bit more about what we can do for you, head on over to landingpageguys.com and just fill in the form, and you can jump on a call with me or one of my sales team. And we'd happily see if we can help you.
Because the one thing I know about you and Andy, and like you like helping people, right? I mean, again,
Absolutely.
like for me, it's like there are a lot of people in our industry, and their sole purpose in life is to kind of like add value to the people that they help to kind of work with, right? And
Absolutely.
definitely you're one of the guys that I kind of hat off. I kind of know that you're genuinely there to kind of help people. And again, some of the people that you've worked with, historically are some of the best in the sort of direct to consumer market. So you definitely know your stuff, right? So
I appreciate that.
So Oliver, I really appreciate you kind of taking the time to kind of jump on this initial call. Sorry for the screw up at the beginning with the kind of the audio, but I think we kind of got it fixed for future events. And yeah, so if you guys have enjoyed it, obviously, like let us know what you thought. Good, bad, or indifferent feedback. Again, feedback. There's no such thing as bad feedback, just kind of feedback, right? So if you have feedback for us, kind of let us know what you think. And as Oliver said, like landingpagelabs.com and landingpageguys.com and hook up with Oliver and Andy and see what they can do for you. So thanks, guys, for watching this first episode of, I don't even know what we're going to call it, Elite Media Buyers, whatever.
Live.
Right?
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Elite Media Buyers Live. We'll come up with something kind of catchy for future ones. But appreciate you taking the time to kind of watch this. Hope you found it of value. And we'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.